Falcons make a statement on Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills, a walk-off for the Chicago Bears and the Titans staff coming together. And we answer the question, who's actually the best team now in the NFL after 6 weeks on today's Peacock and Williamson?
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at PD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for hanging with us. And I know a lot of the everydayers, even folks that listen to us every single day, aren't subscribed up. I see the numbers. Hit that subscribe button for us. And if you're new to the program, you're going to want to hang out with us every day as we break down the entire NFL and have a whole lot of fun every day, all of season long. So sub up on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if that first bet wins, and get that $300 bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. All right, let's get to the Monday Nighters. Matt, a pair of Monday Nighters this week. We had Falcons, Bills. We had Bears, Commanders. Let's start with the Atlanta Falcons, who had a resounding win over the Buffalo Bills, 24-14. Even a little bit of a statement game. They came out early, hot, went down the field, scored. Buffalo answered, and the Falcons said, you know what? We're going to come back and we're going to score again, and we're going to stay ahead this entire football game. So good on the Falcons, who improved to 3-2 now on the season. They've already had their bye. The Buffalo Bills drop another one. They're down to 4-2 now. And as we kind of talked about on Sunday, I think the theme continues here with both of these games. And the league, at least, some really bad teams aside, the good teams don't look quite as good. The mediocre teams looking a little bit better. And it's almost a welcome to the middle for the NFL. We're going to try to figure that out later. Are the Atlanta Falcons a good football team now, Matt?
Yeah, I do think that's a resounding thing that came out of this week of football is there's a handful of teams that stink. I mean, finding out the bad teams is really easy. Finding out the really good teams is really hard. I've been thinking about it a bunch. I don't know who the best team in the league is. It's not the Bills. I want to get to them in a minute, but you opened with the Falcons. Is this a statement game for them? I lean towards yes, in that a couple things. Bijan is incredible. I mean, he's one of the best football players walking the planet right now, and I think he's clearly the best running back right now and one of the best offensive weapons. They use him in so many ways. London was great. They overcame some offensive line injuries. The tackle position has been problematic for them and might continue to be. Penix is developing well enough. I think there's no complaints there. One weird game against Carolina aside, that just seems like a one-off for this team overall. Like just one bad day. Let's forget about that one.
I pause you right there for a second.
Yeah.
After 3 weeks of the NFL season, the Falcons were 1-2. Penix got benched, and they got completely shut out by the Panthers, who we thought were the worst team in the NFL, or one of them at the time. It was like, oh no, the Falcons, maybe they're bad, And since then, they've rattled off 2 straight wins. This is the biggest win of the season. And then you start looking at their 2 losses. It was in the division, week 1, which doesn't help for tiebreakers. No. But week 1, they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by, I think, only a field goal. And then that week 2 loss against the Panthers looks a little better because the Panthers are also winning some football games, and they're at 3-3 now. Mm-hmm. So their losses look better, and their entire resume looks a lot better after beating the Bills on Monday Night Football now after 5 games in 6 weeks than it did after 3 weeks. So we might look at this team a lot differently all of a sudden. And I think one of the main reasons why, and you mentioned Bijan Robinson, who had 81 of his 170 rushing yards on one play, just a dynamic player, both in the run game and the pass game, 200 and almost 50 yards total in this game for Bijan Robinson. And Michael Penix is coming along. He's a young player still.
Yeah.
He's not setting the world on fire, but nice and efficient in this game. 20 of 32 passing, 250 yards, a touchdown pass. And before I cut you off, I think you're probably going to get to the defensive side of the ball, right, for these Falcons.
Absolutely. And to me, that's more shocking than anything we mentioned on the offense. I know Bijan was good. He was the first pick in every fantasy draft, and Penix was promising last year. But they're aggressive and fast and on defense. And they come after quarterbacks. And it's been, I get a kick out of it because Steelers centric too. But one of my favorite stats that I quote is Steelers had the most sacks in the last 5 years. Falcons are last. Same with 10 years. Same with 20 years, and they get after you now. I mean, with blitz, I don't know if these young guys are great pass rushers or anything like that, but they're promising. How often do you see Josh Allen get sacked 4 times? And brings me to the Bills, though, that they were really short on weapons. Kincaid was inactive. Wide receivers seemed like they were dropping left and right. Allen and the team as a whole are making 2 more mistakes than they did before. They were like phenomenal in the turnover ratio the last couple of years under McDermott, really. Now that's not as good. How often you've seen him sacked 4 times? Not as good. And we've talked about this a lot. I've had questions about the Bills defense since the start, and none of those have been answered to me.
Some body language experts out there on the streets, Matt, would have us believe that maybe Josh Allen is checking out a little bit, tired of carrying the team on his back, being asked to do too much on his own. Do you see that from Josh Allen? This definitely wasn't his best effort.
No, and I bet that's a little extreme, but he's human too, despite being Superman on the field. It's got to weigh on him a little bit. He's getting hit more. He's getting less help. They do run the ball well, but that wasn't in the cards so much for this particular game. I don't know. The last thing I'd be worried about is Josh Allen or his state of mind or anything of that sort. But it's got to be frustrating when you've been so close to being the best team in the entire league and you felt like you were for a month. And then the last 2 weeks, it's like, oh, man, just like the Eagles or a lot of these teams, warts are showing up heavy.
Dalton Kincaid was, I think, missed a little bit in this game and kind of become the number 1 target for Josh Allen and this season up until he missed this game with an oblique injury, I believe it is. I'm kind of out on Keon Coleman. He's kind of just a
step up already.
And Khalil Shakir is a nice number 3, can give you something after the catch. But in a game like this, it's like he's the kind of the number 1 weapon. Joshua Palmer is kind of a number 3, So like, where's the 1 and 2 wide receivers? I'm not sure if the Bills have any right now.
Would you consider giving your future first or a second for Olave, AJ Brown, whoever? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I would too.
And I would want to see Josh Allen have one of those types of weapons.
Give me the Diggs I used to have,
Give me a younger version of someone that can grow into a Diggs type of player. I mean, come on, AJ Brown with this quarterback. I mean, that would be super fun.
I totally agree.
Too. I mean, I don't know what the Saints' plans are weird, so I have no idea if they would even think about that. They're probably trying to build around him. But I feel like AJ Brown is an actual realistic possibility. And I don't know what that would end up looking like, what it would take. It would probably be an off-season deal. So they got to figure out this season still.
He's on the tip of my tongue because about 100 people have asked me today, is Freiermuth and Highsmith for AJ Brown going to happen? I'm like, I don't know. That's the first time. I don't know why everyone's asking me this. Someone must have put that rumor out there. I don't know.
Would the Eagles trade AJ Brown mid-season?
I wouldn't if I were. I wouldn't do it for a pick if I were them. I mean, I might do it for players.
What would you get that helps you?
That's the thing. Like not a second round pick from the Bills.
Yeah,
Look, I don't think he goes anywhere.
And that's a reminder. And we'll have to remind folks again over the next few weeks before that November 4th trade deadline. But I know it's around Halloween time and things can get spooky and weird, right? But we always talk about the NFL trade deadline like it's going to be the MLB trade deadline, and it's just not, and it never is. And it's even more active than it used to be, and it's still I mean, come on.
I'm taking the cheese this year, BP, and I do every year just because I think there's so many horrible teams.
There are, but like a team like,
Tennessee.
AJ Brown, a team that's trying to win a Super Bowl like the Eagles aren't going to trade AJ Brown.
No, I don't see that. But like Ridley, Olave, DJ Moore, Myers with the Raiders. I mean, there's just so many bad teams. I think there could be good players on the move. Thibodeau, go on. Hendrickson.
Yeah. Thibodeau makes sense just because they have an already expensive pass rusher and then a brand new high draft pick pass rusher. So he's the third guy and he's an extra guy. And I could see that. You probably have to pay a bit of a price still there, but he would be more of a long-term piece for a team that trades for him too. But some of the other ones, there's just so many teams that still will feel like they're in it. And then the other teams, it's like, well, you're not going to get their best players because that's what they're going to build around next year when they try to do it all again. So you can have like the fringe guys who are going to be free agents anyway. Sure. But that's not going to move the needle for what a lot of people expect at the trade deadline.
Judy, Njoku, like some of these bad teams, I think you could pry away some guys.
Is there a Christian McCaffrey type of deal? A team that with a star player that they'd be willing to move? That'd be the big question for me. We're going to have to go through that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good thing maybe for next week. But, I mean, could you get Pollard from the Titans if you're the Chiefs? Or, I mean, Simmons is a bigger beast. I don't know,
More on the Titans. They've got their interim staff figured out. I've got one more note actually on this Falcons game. I want to move to the Bears and Commanders as well. Walk-off field goal win for the Chicago Bears on the road. Huge win for them coming off a bye, just like the Falcons now at 3. And the Bears are 3-2 as well, right? Yeah, 3-2. So interesting football teams, interesting records. Who's good, who's not? Let's talk Bears, Commanders. Let's talk Titans staff, and then try to come together on the conclusion of who's actually the best team in the NFL right now, which I think is more difficult than it might seem like it should be.
Yeah.
All of that coming up. This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it, right? That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels, airlines, a future rent payment even, maybe your next Lyft ride, and much more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. And when your rent finally starts working for you, you start earning points every month on something that you already have to pay. And whether you're grabbing food at your local neighborhood restaurant or heading to the gym, still earning rewards. Built has made everyday life more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around the neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's joinbuilt, joinbilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure you use our link so they know we sent you. This episode is also brought to you by Rugiet and the new Rugiet Go Long. And it's all about confidence, guys, right? And you've probably heard of Viagra and Cialis, and maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. If you're looking for something that maybe lasts a little bit longer. In fact, the effects of Rugiet Go Long last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. That's exactly where Rugiet Go Long comes in. Confidence. It isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. It combines 2 doctor-trusted medications all in one dual action formula, so you can go the distance, right? Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rugiet.com and use promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet, RUGIET.com, promo code LockedOnNFL. Make sure you use our code so they know we sent you. Okay, Matt, taking a look at the other Monday nighter. First, one more note on the Atlanta Falcons. What is the biggest reason for the turnaround here? I think it's got to be the pass rush. And clearly they spent a lot of resources on the pass rush, Matt, in the offseason. But it wasn't their first round picks either that got the sacks. D. Alford came from the secondary and got a sack. You have David Onyemata. They got one of the sacks. Sam Roberts got another sack, and Ruka Rororo, a second rounder from a couple years ago, got a sack as well. So 4 sacks on the night, and Josh Allen was pressured. Josh Allen hadn't been pressured more than 30% of his dropbacks all season long. He was pressured on 44% of his dropbacks against the Atlanta Falcons in this game. So they wanted to improve their pass rush, and they absolutely have. That's the biggest reason for a turnaround in Atlanta, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think some of these young guys, including the 2 young pass rushers, but Rook and the safety out of Notre Dame they drafted this year too. I mean,
Watts.
Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden the defense just has a different feel about it, and it's aggressive.
A couple of safeties that they drafted, or I guess kind of a hybrid player in. Now I'm blanking on the other guy that they drafted.
The young dude out of the Oklahoma slot, undersized guy.
Yes. And he's been flying around this year for them as well. So huge draft class for the Atlanta Falcons and trying to 2 spots on the defense, which check the box. Good job, Falcons. That's how you fix a problem. And I'm a big fan of teams going all in on one position group to fix it, because you don't just, it's too much of a coin flip in the draft to just draft one player and be like, cool, we're done there. No, attack it from every angle that you can.
100%. And they've made a lot of defensive picks over the last 2 years. They drafted a bunch of D linemen 2 years, a year ago too, not in the first round. They took Penix in the first round, but and remember, they don't have a first round pick next year.
How about Jake Moody? Coming off the practice squad, he was a reject from the 49ers earlier on this year and hits the game-winning field goal for the Chicago Bears to defeat the Washington Commanders 25-24 on Monday Night Football. The Commanders fall to 3-3 on the season. The Bears improved to 3-2 on this young season now. Really interesting football game with 2 teams that are, I think, still trying to figure some things out, still have a lot of young players, even though the Commanders have they have like an old and young roster.
They have like no one in their prime.
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah. Everyone's either gonna be or well past their prime on that Washington Commanders roster. And I don't think super efficient from Caleb Williams, but a good showing nonetheless from Caleb Williams. And he was 17 of 29, 252 through the air, touchdown pass, made some plays with his legs to extend as well. And the Bears 3-2. Are they good? Are the Commanders good? I don't know. I guess we'll wait again next week to find out. Interesting football teams, though, here on both sides, I think. I don't know if there's any big takeaways except for these 2 teams are just going to be right around that, just below 500 all year long, maybe?
Yeah, I think both teams are somewhere in that massive middle of the league, which is exactly what the league wants. My small takeaways are, I think Bears fans are rightful to be encouraged. Head coach, quarterback, direction of the team, big picture stuff. They got some young weapons we haven't had to tap into too much yet, but I'm feeling good if I'm in Chicago right now about my favorite team. Not that I'm feeling bad about Washington, but I was shocked the Bears ran all over Washington. I mean, Swift was, not that he was great, they was just in space all the time, and that was encouraging. And I do think the Bears were the better team. They averaged a full yard per play more than Washington. But the reality is, when you lose a turnover battle 3-0 like Washington did, you're probably not going to win that game,
Yeah, 150 something, no, more than that, 170 total yards for DeAndre Swift, 14 carries, 108 on the ground, 7.7 yards. And he didn't have that 80-yarder like Bijan did to put up those types of numbers. A couple of catches, though, 155-yarder through the air, 2 catches for 67 yards in the score for DeAndre Swift there. Luther Burden, I want to see more of him in this offense. I really do. I know there's not a lot of space for him, but in his limited touches, he makes plays at a 37-yarder in this game on his 4 catches. DJ Moore and Rome Odunze getting a little bit of work. Consolidation maybe is what I would say for the Bears. Like, figure out who you are. Maybe the Bears could trade one of these guys.
That's what I was wondering. Can DJ Moore be had? I feel like Burden's a direct replacement for Moore.
Yeah, I feel like that. And I like Zacchaeus as a player kind of to be that number 3 too. So you have a bunch of extra guys. You got 2 tight ends as well.
Tight ends.
A big bodied wide receiver in Colston Loveland who could use some more targets as well. He had a couple catches for 11 yards, hasn't done much at all this season. Of course, Cole Kmet on the field a lot is the more, the better blocker of the 2 guys. Could he get phased out? Cole Kmet, I think, could probably be had as well, because you're not going to go win a Super Bowl if you're the Bears, right? So
no. Give me pieces and keep building.
Developing and get some of these young guys on the field a little bit more. So I would definitely call the Chicago Bears of a team that's going to be kind of quote unquote in it. I think you could. There's a couple of position groups you could call the Bears about. Did the Commanders play above their heads? So I'm not
sold. I haven't been sold all off season and season.
I'm not underwhelmed by them necessarily. They're not a bad team, but they're certainly not doing what they did last year. And maybe that means last year was a little fluky, or is this just a little bit of a slump for this football team?
I think it's a little bit of the plexiglass stuff. You just took such a huge step last year that, okay, you're still a good team, but you're not a Final Four team, banging on the door to be a Super Bowl contender, which I think a lot of us saw coming. One Bears thing I want to throw out there too. One of my favorite young defensive tackles, Gervon Dexter, had a sack and a half in this game. I just wanted to throw that name out there. I haven't brought him up enough. I like him a lot.
Great one. Gervon Dexter, for sure. There's some talent on the defensive side of the ball for the Chicago Bears too, which is, I think, and I think that's probably the big thing. If you're the Bears fan, you're like, look, we've had too much talent to be this bad for as long as we've been bad. And if you got the right coaches in there, they should be able to look better. And they have so far this year. Yeah. So good on the Bears. I think there was a lot more talent on this roster than probably a lot of people gave him credit for, because they weren't able to shine in previous regimes.
Kyler Gordon's another one. He had a great pick in this game too. He's one of my favorite slot tough guys, do it all, modern day defensive backs too.
Yeah, underrated player. Let's move on to the Tennessee Titans here, who now have some clarity on their new interim coaching staff after firing head coach Brian Callahan yesterday. Brian's dad, Bill Callahan, also parting ways with the Tennessee Titans. So the Titans go from leading the league in Callahan's to tied for last place in Callahan's in the NFL. And Mike McCoy is going to be the interim head coach. But even though he's been a play caller, he is not going to call plays. And this is one of our big questions yesterday, Matt. They're going to keep Bo Hardigree as the play caller. And then obviously the defensive side of the ball is going to be unchanged here. So there we go. Mike McCoy, interim coach, but they're not changing for the third time the play caller for Cam Ward in the Titans offense.
McCoy does have a little bit of head coaching experience. I didn't realize he was even on the staff. I mean, that doesn't mean that they're in good hands or things are getting turned around. I don't expect really anything good to happen for this team. I just hope Ward doesn't get ruined. I'm not even saying it gets better. Just don't get ruined.
Well, one of the things I think they had was the makings of a good offensive line. And that was kind of the thing.
Hasn't lived up to it.
Might go well for them because Brian gets to bring Bill, who's, thought of as one of the better offensive line coaches in the NFL. And they spend a lot of draft picks and have a lot of talent up front. And so.
And it still might shape up that way, although losing Daddy Callahan can't help. I wonder if a team grabs him and says, hey, why don't you help coach our line?
Yeah, there's some teams that could use him. I mean, I would call Bill Callahan for sure if I was one of those teams. And there's a lot of teams that need some help on the offensive line. And it's hard to find good offensive linemen. So maybe you can get a fresh perspective on the offensive line coaching aspect of it.
Oh, I'd love it, including my hometown. But like Latham has been injured. He was really promising, and they switched to the right side. He's been injured. Dan Moore hasn't quite lived up to the contract, which shouldn't shock anybody. And Zeitler's looking a little older. Like, there's no depth. A lot of teams have O-line issues.
Skoronski's good.
Yeah, Skoronski's good, and the line could get better. I still think Latham's got a chance to be a good player.
Next, who's actually good? Who is the best team right now in the NFC, in the AFC, in the NFL? Coming up. This episode of Peacock and Williamson is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We're almost to week 7 now, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Don't know how long this offer is going to be around, so it might be time to jump on it if you're on the fence. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And what's to love about FanDuel? There's so many ways to play. Weekly lines, build your own parlays, same game parlays, tons of player props. There's already draft props up, and you can even follow along with live lines, and you can do live in-game betting as well, not just for NFL, college football, Major League Baseball playoffs, NHL, NBA season's getting going, and a whole lot more. You name it, you can find it on the FanDuel app. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. So who is the best team in the NFL? Who's even good? It was the Bills a few weeks ago. We thought maybe it was the Philadelphia Eagles early in the year. The Detroit Lions, after a bumpy road to begin the season, started to look like a juggernaut once again. It's like, okay, watch out for these Lions. And maybe it's just the same old teams. Before the season started, we thought it was the Baltimore Ravens. They might have the number one pick in the draft at this rate, Matt. So this is a wild league. Parity still reigns in the NFL. The Indianapolis Colts might be playing the best top to bottom football in the entire league. Your Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-1. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers might have the MVP. They are 5-1 now on the season. Let's talk about who are the best teams in the NFL and who would you put your money on? Who's the best team? Who's even good? By the way, if you look at the standings right now today, Matt, you will see the New England Patriots ahead of the Buffalo Bills in the AFC.
I saw that. Well, they won head-to-head, so obviously that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't exactly the answer to the question, but I think if you were to do it like college rankings, like who's had the power, how they do theirs. Yeah, the two teams I think that have had the best seasons to date are the Bucs and the Colts. I mean, there's like no embarrassing moments for them. Bucs have overcome a lot of injuries. Baker's probably my MVP right now. Now, I'm not saying the Colts should be favored in every stadium they walk into and that I'm sold on they're awesome, but I think that they've had the two best seasons to date, but that doesn't mean they're the best teams in the league.
Looking at who some of these teams have beat, and so let's go to the 5-1 teams. The Indianapolis Colts have had a lot of one-score wins. They've had a lot of late wins where they flipped it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a lot of late wins where they flipped games. And in fact, I think this is the first game of the season against the Niners that they've won that they didn't have to come back and win in the fourth quarter for those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Colts have beaten,
but there's no terrible games for either one of those teams.
Yes, but the Colts have only beaten one good team. And so that's why I can't put the Colts out there. The Colts have beaten the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Titans, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. And the Dolphins, Titans, Raiders, and Cardinals are some of the worst teams in the NFL. Now, they thumped some of those teams. They beat up on the Dolphins in week 1. They beat the Raiders 40-6. And their one loss is against maybe the best team that they've played in the Los Angeles Rams, 27-20. And there was only a 1-point win over those Broncos in week 2. So essentially, against bad teams, they're 4-0. And against pretty good teams, they have a negative point differential to the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm still a little skeptical. I'm looking at the schedule, though. They get the Titans up in another couple of weeks again. But next week is the Chargers. The Steelers are coming up. The Falcons are coming up. The Chiefs, the Texans, the Jags, the Seahawks, the 49ers. It gets a lot more difficult toward the second half of the year for the Indianapolis Colts. And I bet they don't have the best record in the league when it's all said and done.
I can't say I buy in 100%. Like if you told me who's the team in the AFC I want to play last right now, it's the Chiefs, which is so boring, but it's the Chiefs. That stinks, doesn't it? But I think it's the Chiefs.
It does kind of stink. And they're, a 500 football team. But that last win was the most impressive, too, beating the Lions in prime time. Because I might have said the Lions before.
I'd say the Lions, to me, haven't changed. Like they were number one in every power rank I saw a week ago. They might still deserve to be number one. I'm not worried about them.
So everything else the entire season has played out exactly the same, except for the Sunday night game, Chiefs and Lions hasn't been played yet. There was a storm and they got pushed to Tuesday night.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're about to kick off as we record this.
They'd be number one.
I would say the Lions are the best team in the NFL, and I would be very skeptical about the Chiefs because they did not look like that same team. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's like, oh man, there they are. Okay. And so that kind of threw the whole thing on its ear for me.
I'm not there yet either, but I want to throw one more team at you. And I know they just lost to a team we brought up, but Seattle. their defense is top 5. Their offense is a legit top 5. But it kind of has that Colts feel too. Like, do I totally trust Darnold and Daniel Jones? And is this a house of cards? I don't think it is. I trust Seattle more than I do the Colts, but I would put them out there. They win every road game.
I still think the Bills are pretty good, but resume-wise, like a team like the Falcons, we already talked about what their win-losses were this year. Looks better than the Colts, really. The Falcons do. I'm looking at the
I'm not burying the Eagles either.
Right. No, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they won the Super Bowl. I mean, they've lost 2 games in a long time.
I think they're going to be fine. They've got a lot of talent both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots, it's very similar to the Colts.
You got to beat somebody.
They're 4-2.
They beat the Bills. They beat the Bills.
They built the Bills, but that's it. Otherwise they've beaten the Dolphins and the Panthers. They really beat up on the Panthers. And
would the Rams get any vote? I think we at least have to throw their name out of our mouth, but they're more like 6 or 7 for me.
In the conversation,
yeah,
they deserve to be in that conversation. I'd probably have, I would say, Falcons, Rams. The Rams would be favored. In fact, I'm kind of shocked, and it's probably going to be in our 6-pack, and I hope it stays. The 49ers are favored Sunday night against the Falcons, 2.5 points. And I think that's a mistake.
That seems off to me. I haven't looked at any of the games or lines, but yeah.
But by the time we pick that game tomorrow, it might not be 2.5 points. If it is, I'm going to tease that. I'm going to take.
If we look at it in that light, would anyone be favored over the Lions on a neutral field right now? I bet not.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
If we were making the books,
Tampa, Detroit, and Wichita, Kansas is probably the Lions favored.
I would think so. So even though they lost to...
That might be the answer. In Kansas City, in an awful environment, and they didn't get embarrassed.
Eagles did beat the Bucs. That's the only loss on the Bucs season so far is against the Eagles, but the Bucs do have some good wins. They defeated the Falcons in the division week 1, and they beat the Seahawks and the Niners the last 2 weeks. They only beat the Jets by 2 points, though. Every team's resume is like, oh, this is a good win, but this is a really weak one, and then this is an awful loss.
I don't know who the best team is. I think I would vote for the Lions, but
I think if
Kansas City and Tampa would be in the conversation for me.
Where you at with the 4-1 Steelers?
They're like 8th or 9th.
Okay, so like behind the Rams,
I don't know if they're behind like the Falcons you threw out there, but definitely behind like the Rams, Bucs, Seahawks. I mean, their toughest game was Seattle. They lost.
The Falcons' resume is sneaky good. I still think the Packers are good, but they've messed
I do
around
too, but you got to show me something soon. It's been a rough month for the Packers.
Yeah. But the Packers are still in first place ahead of the Lions because they only have one loss and they got
tied.
3-1-1. They're in first place currently in the North. And so,
but they tied the Browns.
Yeah.
Right? Or did they lose the Browns?
They lost to
they tied the Browns, I think. Yeah.
No, they tied the Cowboys. Remember that was the 40 to 40 overtime. Yeah.
They lost the Browns in a game that there was like no points.
If they didn't lose the Browns, it would be the Packers for me right now.
They're not playing great though. I mean, like they beat a really bad Bengals team, but not as decisively as I would have liked.
They're letting people hang around. That win early against the Lions, clearly their biggest win to start the year. That was massive. Yeah. And they beat the Commanders in week 2. They're a 3-3 football team right now.
Since then, it's been pretty mediocre.
Lions 1. Bucs 2, Chiefs 3 for me.
Yes.
You okay with that?
Yes.
A 3-3 team is the third best team in the NFL.
Colts are mad at us, but you got to earn a little more with Colts, right?
Colts and then Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken, are in your top 5 probably?
Yeah, I think so.
Forgot about the Eagles too, though.
Right this second, today on October 14th, not in my top 5, Eagles or Bills.
Yeah. Hey, check again on the 21st.
Probably totally changed, right?
And it might be a different list. There you go. Let us know who's your best team in the AFC and the NFC right now. And get your mailbag questions in for this week's week 7 already. NFL mailbag. Matt and I back tomorrow right here. Peacock and Williamson.